Well, hello there. And I want to say welcome to another beautiful edition of Soulivity today. We're broadcasting live from our studio right here in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., and on KMET 1490 AM radio in Southern California. My name is Brian Wesley Johnson, as you probably have already guessed. I'm glad you're here because we have an amazing show for you today. Today, I am joined by the host of Consciously Awesome Living, Sheila Applegate. Hello to you, Sheila.
Hi, Brian. How are you today?
I'm better.
Yeah.
Slowly getting all this stuff out of my body. I do not. I dislike being sick, but I understand the reasons why. Sometimes we work a little too hard, or we got some stuff that we need to kind of release. So, hey, that's what we have to do. So, how has your week been going?
Good, good. I got up early to go to the airport today and it's snowing out. And so just taking it one step at a time.
I cannot believe it's snowing where you are. It's like, does it really have to be snowing yet? I mean, I get the seasons and all that stuff, but it's getting so used to it being so warm for the
Yeah,
fall.
it could be warm again tomorrow here. The leaves are still on some of the trees. So there's been a lot of Halloweens throughout my life that had snow. So it's not a big surprise for us, but it's
Did you
always.
have did you have trick-or-treaters last night? A lot of them or
I
no?
did not. I live
Yeah, same here.
the front of my house is a busy road. So, but I had the land in the back, but it's just not really a safe road and there's not many houses along the way. So
Yeah.
we don't even turn the lights on. I used to buy candy in case they came, but then I realized it was just an excuse to eat it. So I stopped buying
Yeah,
that.
we didn't have that many trick-or-treaters, but the funny thing is we had more houses that were decorated this year. And so it was like,
Mm,
I think people were a little disappointed in the fact that there weren't that many
you
kids that
didn't
were
get
like coming
many.
around. Yeah, yeah. I saw online people were saying the same thing. But you know, but it's still I'm glad people had a happy Halloween though. Sheila, we got a great show and a great guest that I'm going to be
Hmm.
introducing in just a second. Um, but as I was thinking about what we're going to be doing today, on Soulivity, we talk a lot about discovering your passion and purpose, right? Well, the main reason is because this is all about having a full and rewarding life experience. And Sheila, I found this study from the National Institutes of Health that shed some light on all this, like living this way can actually improve your physical and mental health. So I thought I'd share this with you in our audience. They used data from almost 13,000 participants in a health and retirement study, and they found that over a 4-year follow-up period, that people with the highest versus the lowest purpose, like feeling of purpose, had better substantial physical health outcomes with like 46% reduced risk of mortality. They had better health behaviors with like reduced risk of sleeping problems, including psychosocial outcomes, higher levels of optimism, reduced risk of depression, and lower feelings of loneliness, right? So I thought that was pretty cool. But today we're answering a question around all of this. Where do we begin and how do we get there? Well, we have the perfect guest to discuss all this with, but let's learn a little bit more about her first. Christy Whitman is a New York Times best-selling author and transformational leader. She's appeared on The Today Show, The Morning Show, TEDx, and the Hallmark Channel, and her work has been featured in numerous publications and magazines. Now, Christy teaches the law of attraction, energy mastery, and personal development classes, meditations, and private sessions to help clients feel more aligned with the divine design of well-being, abundance, and success. Woo! And so it is my pleasure to welcome to Soulivity today my dear friend, all the way out west, Christy Whitman, to the show. Hey, Christy.
Hello, good sir. Good morning. Good morning.
Mm.
Happy to be with you.
Oh man, I am so happy that you are here. We've done a few things on Soulivity together, and you always you bring it. I'm just gonna say you bring it, and that it is that light, that love, that clarity, um, um, and a practical perspective of how we can utilize like all these universal principles that we always talk about, right? And I think sometimes we get so fundamentally, we get it all in our head. We don't bring it down into our heart, and we don't know how to practically apply it. And so, thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for having me, Brian. That's my deal, is that I want to show people how you take these esoteric, really important, things to understand, and how do you bring it into your daily life if you're struggling with money, or if you're having issues in relationship, or you're feeling dissatisfied with your body, or you're wanting to go to the next level in your career. Like, how do you take this information and utilize it, because it's there for us. And once we know how to utilize it, then we make very, very different decisions in our lives, and then our life experience changes.
Absolutely, absolutely. I could not agree to you more. I was bragging about your website earlier, which was kind of like the impetus for today's show, where we're talking about, how do you live life to the fullest? And so, I guess my first question for you, and then I'll hand it over to Sheila for a question, is, what does that really mean? I mean, I think we say it, but for you and the people that you're like coaching, how do you define this full life?
Well, I look at it as one of my books that I wrote, that was one of my New York Times best-selling books, is The Art of Having It All. And it's really looking at what is having it all for you in your own life individually. We all have different ideas of what we would love in every aspect of our life. And when we allow ourselves, most people don't even ask themselves the question of, what do I want?
Right.
We're so focused on what we don't want, we're pushing against more of what we don't want, trying to avoid more pain. So we worry about not having money, because that's how we think that we're needing to create more money. And we, focus on, well, I'm afraid of love, and so we defend against love. But when we start to ask ourselves, what do I want in all aspects of our lives? What do I want? Why do I want it? And ultimately, how do I want to feel? Because all of us, as a natural just instinct within our own beings, we are here to thrive and to feel good. We want to feel good. So whether someone is doing some kind of behavior, like maybe eating too much, or they're doing vices, or doing things that are sabotaging themselves, that those are actual parts of ourselves that are trying to feel good. And when we actually allow ourselves to get real and honest with ourselves, like, what would feel good look like in my life? What would I love? It may be different than what your parents expected. It may be different than your spouse wants, or it may be different than your kids want. But when you really give yourself permission to say, what do I want? And why do I want that? And how do I want to feel? Because ultimately, everything that we want in our lives is because we're assigning a feeling to that. So I want more money. Well, why? And what's more money anyway? Is it $1? But why do I want more money? Because I want to feel free. I want to feel independent. I want to feel powerful. I want to feel secure. And when you start to understand what the essence is, what that bottom line feeling is, then it's like cutting out the middleman. Just feel that, because that is accessible to us now. And then when we learn how to connect with that energy that's here alive for us, then we draw that into our lives. Now, it doesn't mean we sit around and don't do anything, draw it or attract it into our lives, right?
Right.
We take action, and we, move in that direction. I was just telling you before we started, Brian, that, my family and I went to the World Series last night, and it was just a feeling of, God, that'd be really cool to do as we're watching one of the games, and they're here in Arizona. And, and so I went ahead and got tickets. And even though they lost last night, the four of us, it was such a bonding moment with my two teenage sons. I mean, it's like, how do you bond
Wow.
with your kids, right? Through sports a lot. So, even they were losing, I mean, we were having such a great time. And it'll
Right,
be
right.
something that all of us remember for the rest of our lives, that we got to go to our first World Series game, and enjoy each other. And so it wasn't a matter of if we, I don't know if they won, but it was still so much fun, having that bonding time together. So for me in that moment, I was having it all. I remember looking at the scoreboard at one
Oh,
point, and they were losing horribly. They came back a little bit, but they were losing. And I just sat there. I'm like, I got both my boys by my side. I look over at my husband, and he gives me just that loving look. And I'm like, God, in this moment, right here, right now, I have it all. This is me
wow.
living my life to the fullest.
Wow. Woo, woo. I love, 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 love that because I mean, that's living, right? And then you're going to start attracting more of that to you. Sheila, do you have a
Yes,
question real quick?
Well, I love as you're talking, because I think a lot of times when people are working with manifesting or the law of attraction, they think of it just from the mind, and um, you're focusing on the emotions, and then you also bring in the energy as well. So, do you want to talk a little bit about how that aspect has kind of directed your path?
absolutely. Yeah, I was fortunate enough that 28 years ago, when I started meditating and learning about, introspection, and, really starting to draw to me information on the universal laws, and started realizing that we all create our own reality. Energy was part of the huge conversation, because everything is energy. We know that now from modern science, quantum physics, that when we match the frequency of what we're wanting to experience, then we are drawing it to us sooner, quicker. We're a match for it. We bring that into our lives, whether it's we're wanting to have more abundance. When we're in lack, and this has been, most of my teaching for the last, 20 something years, is that when we're in lack, we feel bad. And when we're in abundance, we feel good. And it doesn't matter what lack we're focused on. If we're having a lower level or negative emotion, and all emotions are positive because they guide us, but when we're having emotion that doesn't feel good, it's because some aspect of our consciousness is in lack. So to
Mm,
really look at what is our consciousness, right? To break that down, it's what do we say? What are the words that we use? That's why I created a whole program called Watch Your Words. You can go to watchyourwords.com. It's free, because we need to know what are the words and phrases that we say in our lives that pull our energy down, that create that lower
mm,
level vibration. So the words that we're speaking out loud, as there's been many people that have said, even Bruce Lee had said that, we call it spelling, because when we speak, that when we use those words, it casts a spell, right? So watching
mm,
your words is really important. So watching your words, our thoughts, we got our words, our thoughts are important, because our thoughts then have a chain reaction to not only our beliefs, which is our other aspect of our consciousness, what we picture in our minds, but ultimately how we feel, and then what we do. So words, thoughts, beliefs, emotions, and our actions are our consciousness. And when you really break it down like that, it's like, we can't worry, or we can, about what the government's going to do. We have to
right.
focus on how are we focused, or how are we feeling, and what are we thinking? Are we pushing against what they're doing, or are we focused on what we want the government to do, or our in-laws, or our partners, or kids, or whoever, our next door neighbors, whoever it is? When we're more outer focused on them and what they're doing, we're using our precious life force energy and our consciousness to most of the time push against, instead of focusing on what we want and choosing how we want to feel and what we want to think and what we want to believe and what we want to do and, what we want the future to look like.
Mm, 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 mm. I think I'm going to let that kind of marinate with folks, because I think you are definitely holding church today. Seriously though, seriously. I mean, because these are things that, the last few weeks, I think the universe has kind of been pushing this beautiful narrative out into the world that, listen, you are in control of your life, and that by thinking differently and having a different perspective on how you want to feel and in your world will change the world for the better. And so, but it starts with us. And so I keep hearing you say that over and over and over again, and that speech and what we're speaking into existence matters. It is not just consequential, unconsequential. It is actually the exact opposite.
You look at some people, the pandemic, for example, was such a beautiful illustration for me, because it was the first time in literally the entire world where we were all unified in experiencing something. And the way each and every person interpreted it, what they did with it, was an individual choice. And so it's like the universal law of attraction, that if anybody knows about any of the universal laws, I like to talk about the 7 essential laws, because they are essential. It's like knowing the rules of the game, right? But one of those laws is law of attraction, and everybody was experiencing the same thing, like the universal law. We're all adhered to this law. What we send out comes back to us, and there's no exception to that. It doesn't matter who we are. It doesn't matter where in the world we live. It doesn't matter if we're a man or a woman, what religious background. It doesn't matter. We all have the ability. We are all energy receivers, we're energy containers, and we're energy transmitters, meaning that when we are complaining about something, we're sending out lower level vibes that will come back to us. It's not a tit for tat kind of thing, right? But it's not like I complain about this person, they complain about me. I complain about something, it lowers the vibration of what's coming out of me, what I am transmitting, and then that lower level vibration comes back to me. It might be a ticket, it might be someone rude at Starbucks, serving me, it might be some bad news, it might be my car breaks down. But it's like what we send out comes back to us. And when we understand that, then we are a little bit more mindful, and we take a little bit more responsibility for the energy that we are sending out. It's like ripples in the pond, right? We are the initiator of that energy, and we have free will. We have free will and choice as to how we're going to focus. And, the power of focus is all on us. And, there's a lot of times when people are imprinted, and so their natural reaction to something might be fear or scared or something like that. And that's for us to understand, and for us to release. Like I was talking about, we went to the Diamondback game, the World Series, and my 14-year-old son, he's typical teenager, and we were walking down the street. It was at the end of the game, and there's a lot going on. There's a lot of people. And these 2 guys in front of us were kind of just mouthing off. And my son, Alex, was, kind of getting in there with them. And all of a sudden, it was like this homeless guy, clearly was drugged out, came up to the 2 guys in front, and they were carrying on a conversation. And I felt fear, like fear came up in me. And I turned to my son and I said, stop, you need to learn when to stop. And when we got in the car, I was feeling really scared and fearful. And I was like, Alex, you got to learn, And after I calmed down and I processed the energy of that emotion and allowed myself to come back into compassion of why I had that type of reaction, I said to him, listen, as we're driving home, I said, you got to learn street smarts. And here we are, there's, hundreds of people around us. And I'm seeing some homeless guy clearly drugged out, talking to the
Right.
guys in front. We don't know what he could stir up, but it's like, you don't want to engage with that. And so that brought up my core wound of I'm not safe. And then, of course, my motherly instincts go in and
Right.
go, wait, these are my kids. I got to do. So I explained that to him, that this was my imprint. This was my wound. And that's why I had that type of reaction. And he's like, okay, I get it, Mom. And so we had a very different conversation than,
Okay.
you're wrong, you're bad. Right?
Right.
Because it's like
Right.
when you can, like I took this is my reaction. This is my responsibility for the way I'm feeling. Okay, what's going on here? I was able to, like I teach, practical tools, like I did in the car ride home, to process and work my energy out. I was then able to have a clear understanding of why I reacted in that way. And then I was able to communicate that to my son, so he didn't take that on like, oh, I'm wrong and bad.
Right.
He's understanding why now Mom is acting that way.
Wow. 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 Again, I'm loving all this. Listen, we're going to take a quick break because I want this energy to kind of flow into people and let them kind of start taking this in, because this is all about us wielding our power for our own good. And so, listen, everybody, we're going to take a quick break. We got more with Soulivity today coming up with Christy Whitman. So we'll be back in about 2 minutes.
6 years ago, when I started Soulivity, my vision was to support everyone in improving their life through the discovery of their passion and purpose, so they could become the best version of themselves, to battle fear and ignorance, and create a better world today. Get inspired to live your passion and purpose. Visit Soulivity.com now.
Do you see me kneeling on this dual roller called Parasetter? It's actually comfortable because of this channel and the softness of the special foam. It feels like my kneecaps are being massaged. When I lie down, my spine is housed in this channel, while the convex rollers massage my muscles. They let go and lengthen. There's a traction effect from my head on the headrest and my mid-back from the rib wrap, which hugs me. When I start the breathing sequence, I feel calm because my cortisol levels are dropping. Lower cortisol means bye-bye constant hunger. Parasetter is 40 inches long and much more comfortable than old-style rollers, but it weighs only 10 ounces. Parasetter, just like Pilates was, is no longer an insider secret. Do yourself a favor. Reset your parasympathetic nervous system. Defeat stress. Lying, sitting, kneeling, or standing. This unique patented roller helps everyone.
Hey, we're back here with more of Soulivity today. We are exploring how to live our life to the fullest with New York Times bestselling author Christy Whitman. And also back with us is Soulivity co-host Sheila Applegate. Sheila, I'm going to go to you for another question.
All right. So Christy, I really appreciate how you are authentic in what you are teaching and talking about, and that you share your own path. And I think that's so essential. You're
Thank you.
also working with a council, and that's something that not all the coaches do. I really
Yes.
also appreciate. I'm a channel. Actually, your path, your life path is sounding a lot like mine in the same time frame of when we moved into channeling. And my passion has always been to make that mainstream, and that's what you sound like you're doing as well. Can you talk about that aspect of your work and how you've integrated that into your coaching and all the books and things that you offer?
Absolutely. Thank you, Sheila. Yeah, it's funny. For years I've been very woo-woo in the sense that, I've been coaching for 23 years. And when I started coaching, most people are like, what's coaching? Like football coaching? Like why would someone hire a coach? They didn't understand that. Right. And, that was not mainstream. It was very woo woo for a while. And then it's coaching and as an industry, became more
Right.
mainstream. And I have been educating people since 2008, but because I have a coaching certification program for law of attraction coaches called the Quantum Success Coaching Academy. And so I've been educating people on what is coaching and how do you get your first client, and how do you market yourself, and what do coaches do and all that. And through that process, I also then realized what I do with clients, what we teach is that I help people master their energy. And, I really am an energy healer. And so then I had another iteration of myself where I came out of the closet as, I'm not just a coach, I'm an energy healer. And, people were like, woo, what's that? More woo woo kind of thing. And now more mainstream is coming, energy healers. People are starting to accept, oh, okay, people can help you process and move your energy because how important it is, right? And just when that starts to get mainstream, all of a sudden the Council of Light literally downloads through me, and I've been told to pivot my business completely, and now I'm woo woo again. So I guess I call myself mainstream woo, main woo, because it's like I'm always teeter-tottering on that space. So I'm just in a constant place of I always get assignments, and I say those assignments could be creating a course like the Quantum Success Coaching Academy, like I did in 2008, or it could be my books. I'm now on my 8th book. All of those books come down. My very first book came through me. Woke up in the middle of the night, 1:05 in the morning, and this voice was talking to me, and I was clear it was not my voice. And this is, 24 years ago.
Wow.
When that happened. And so, all of my books literally have come through me, where I've been on a cruise ship with my family, and all of a sudden I get woken up at 3 a.m. It's like, grab pen and paper, and, nowhere to go on a cruise ship. And I'm in the bathroom hunched, on stacks of towels, and writing and writing and writing. And, that book became Quantum Success, my book about business and money, working with the 7 essential laws. So it's always been this involvement, and I'm just leaning in because I always just trust that where they, who has led me till this point. I mean, it's just been such a beautiful, great journey. So about 5 years ago now, over 5 years ago, I was working with a group of women online, and I was told this while I was driving on the freeway. I got this voice, and then I saw this vision of, and I didn't know who they were at the time. They wanted me to create Sacred Circle of Light. So I said, okay, what's that? That sounds great, And so they said, pull some, clients that are wanting to come and get their energy healed, because everybody's got life going on, right? And it could be someone gets in a fight with their husband, or someone is having, struggles with their kids or their mother-in-law, or, they've got issues financially, or they've got, things in their business that is not working, or whatever the daily life, could be their body's breaking down, or they can't seem to lose the weight. And so do energy healing with them. And so I did, and as an assignment. Okay, so I had a group of women, and we were working on their energy, and they were just healing leaps and bounds, and creating and manifesting incredible things. And then this
Wow.
one day, and I'll never forget it because it was my son's birthday, so September 17th, 2018, all of a sudden, instead of hearing that very clear voice of them guiding me, it was like having my kids and my husband all talking to me at the same time. I was like, I can't hear it. Everybody shush, and all of a sudden, instead of them shushing, I shushed. I literally went out, and this was the first time they came through. So I heard them. I was aware of what was happening. I was very familiar with channeling because my first teachers were channelers. As a matter of fact, my very first meditation teacher that looked me in the eyes and said, "You create your own reality," which opened up everything for me in that moment. She said to me, "You're a channeler." And at the time, I had no idea what that even meant, right? But now
Right.
it was like, here I am. It's like I literally slumped over the chair hearing this just amazing wisdom come through me, and the energy was fantastic. And so the Quantum Council of Light came through me, and we've been playing in that way, changing lives and really helping people shift and let go of those imprints like we talked about, so people are more neutral, less reactive. They're healing their bodies. I've had so many different people, from stage 4 cancer to migraines to fibromyalgia, literally heal it out of their bodies. To helping people that have had lifetimes of being imprinted with debt and struggle with money, to thriving financially. It goes on and on and on. So I do sessions with people. We do quantum light shifts, which are like, 60-minute programs. We just did one on Friday that was getting people out of lack and into abundance. The configurations that the council has me do with people are just amazing. We do like 30 days of meditations, which we just finished in October. So it's just really rewarding. And it's funny because being an ex-control freak, which, I wrote about in Taming Your Alpha Bitch. I don't know if I'm able to say that, but as an ex-control freak, for me to just like let the reins go to, the council and have them show up and do what they do, it's quite profound. So
Wow.
I have to say, Christy, I've been a channel for 20 something years, but the beginning was very much, I call myself the most surrendered control freak on earth, but I think you might match, or we might be.
Yep, you got to be surrendered.
Oh my goodness. Oh, see, this is why I love you being here, because this is what it's all about, right? I mean, we have to start from the point of surrender and then move into trust and then guidance and that kind of thing. So, man, listen, we're going to take another quick break because I think we need a break right now to let all this kind of permeate in. And then I think, Christy, what I want to ask you when we come back is, give some people some more practicality. How do they begin? What's a good first start? What's a good first step for them? And so
Perfect.
We're going to take this quick break, and we'll be back with more of Soulivity Today. We'll be right back.
Hi there, Sheila Applegate here with some exciting news. I've joined the incredible Soulivity team as the host of the new Consciously Awesome live show, where I will be sharing insights to help you discover your full brilliance and claim the vibrant life you deserve. So tune in every Wednesday right here on Soulivity TV to join the fun, and remember to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss a single episode. Have an awesome week, and I will see you on Wednesday.
Would you like to be one of the first people to experience mental freedom? Mental freedom is a coaching practice with 6 core principles: improving hope, self-efficacy, optimism, resilience, and general well-being. Mental freedom only takes 6 sessions. It is designed to give you the tools you need to help yourself. It can help with any situation: relationship problems, past trauma, career decisions, parenting challenges, addiction, and mental health concerns. Incorporating the mental freedom framework into your life will deliver an approach to master any situation and a pathway toward achieving inner peace. Mental freedom provides the information and tools that you need to grow and be bigger than anything that ever happens to you. So if you're looking for one-on-one or a group coaching program that will allow you to address any situation that comes up in your life with practical tools to give you more peace and joy, then join the Mental Freedom Program in Soulivity's Aspire Academy. There are very limited spots available, so don't delay. I hope to see you there.
And we are back with more of Soulivity Today. We're exploring today how You can learn to live your life to the fullest with New York Times bestselling author Christy Whitman and my friend. Oh, Christy, I'm so glad you're here. Also is back another wonderful friend of mine, Sheila Applegate. Christy, you know, I love your story because it's like you're giving us, again, a practical perspective on how to move out of being control freaks, because I think we're all control freaks, and moving into this wonderful life of, Sheila, I'm going to say it again, like Sheila, this wonderful life of woo, where we're surrendering to the life that we were meant to have from when we were born. Life is meant to be good, everyone. Just understand that, and that we can experience it today. But Christy, my question to you is, what are some of the first kinds of steps that you give people or that you're led to tell people when they're just kind of starting out and they're starting to let go of the reins of that ego mind and that kind of thing, and the things that they're socialized to believe?
Well, first of all, I think it's important to understand the ego mind, because I think the ego gets a bad rap, because the divine in its infinite wisdom created each of us to have our egos, which is our personalities, right? So it's not necessarily we don't want to let go of our personalities. I mean, when we're not imprinted and we're not, being limited, our personalities are really fantastic, because we have different parts of our personalities that are passionate and that are funny and, generous. And we have a lot of really great, amazing qualities. And I think it's looking at what are those amazing qualities that each of us have been bestowed with and that each of us have developed, but also understanding there's also contrast. Nothing's all good, nothing's all bad. And so the contrast, it might be that we are impatient, or we procrastinate, or we complain a lot, or we tend to look for the negative in things, or compare ourselves with others. And those are parts of they call it ego, and I'm doing air quotes, you can't see me, but those are part of our personality that is limited, and those limited parts are the parts that we want to evolve, so that we're bringing all of that into the fullness, into the oneness of who we really are, because our personalities were designed by the great one, whether you call it God, divine, whatever, Sally Sue, it doesn't matter what you call it. It's just knowing that we have a power greater than ourselves that has provided us and individualized itself to be us. And so, we are all diverse and we're different, and the divine created us that way. And so when we get to accept and love those parts of us, we're in alignment with the divine, because the divine loves and accepts each of us the way we are. And so one of the first things that I say, and we talked about it the first top of the hour, is that you want to look at your life and what's not working, or what is contrasting, meaning what you don't want. You want to ask yourself, what do I want? Because most of us are so focused, and I see this all the time as a coach. I've seen this for decades as a coach. Okay, what do you want? Well, I don't want to gain weight. Well, that's not what I asked you. What do you want? I don't want to get a divorce. Okay, but what do you want? Our minds are so entrained and focusing on what we don't want. And this is the first place to start. This is the best process I say to start people on, is that when you're focusing on what you don't want, you feel bad. So if there's any aspect of your life right in this moment that you are feeling bad about, it's because your mind is focused on what you don't want. You're pushing against what you don't want. You're focusing on what's already manifested, what is that you do not like or prefer. And so the only way out of it is to change your focus. What do you want? And write that down. Write a list of the things that you want. What do I want? And then ask yourself, why do I want these things? Because there's a reason you want them. Because ultimately, as you list out the reasons you want it, you'll get to that feeling place. I want to just feel good. I want to feel joy. I want to have fun. I want to, I want to live my passion. I want to, make a difference. I want to, whatever it is. And that is where the life force, that's when you start to
Yeah.
align, and that's when you start feeling alive, and that's when you're living your life to the fullest. So
Right.
understanding that focusing on what you want is essential. And then understanding that you then have to become a vibrational match to what you want, meaning you have to feel now how you think you would feel when you got it, right?
Right.
When you finally get
Right.
the relationship you want. I remember years ago when I was wanting my, partner, my husband of now, we've been together 17 years, married 16. And I remember not having him in my life. And I remember feeling like, oh, I so desperately want a partner. And when I asked myself, okay, why? What am I thinking he's going to bring me, or that relationship is going to bring me, that I don't have right now? And what I got was love and connection. And so it's like,
Wow.
okay, because if I'm coming from a place of I don't have love and connection, and I'm looking for somebody else to outside of me to give me that love and connection, I'm vibrating in not having it, meaning I'm vibrating in the lack of it. And so I'm coming
Mm.
from a place of I'm desperate, I'm needy, I'm without, which is a vibration. So in order to be in the flow of it, or in the abundance of it, in the having of it, which is an important principle for manifesting, I needed to start cultivating love and connection within myself, and started feeling, what does it feel like to be connected to myself? And after very short weeks of cultivating that energy, bringing that energy into me, I then attracted Frederick into my life. I did the same thing for
Wow.
my career. I was a pharmaceutical rep eons ago. It seemed like it was a whole nother lifetime ago. And, I was making great money, and I had great success, and, applying all the principles of quantum success that I teach. And people in my industry were like, what are you doing? Because I was winning all the awards and making these great bonuses. And, people on my team were like, coach me, what are you doing? And, and I was teaching him about the 7 essential laws. But one day I realized, I'm devoid of passion and purpose for this thing called sales and pharmaceutical. And I really thought about
Hmm.
myself, and I'm like, you know what? If I get a headache, I put peppermint oil on my head. I don't even go take an aspirin. Like, this was so out of integrity, and I'm trying to push more drugs, which I didn't believe on, in, and I just didn't believe in that whole industry. And
Right.
so I
Right.
realized, okay, what am I missing? I was missing passion and purpose for what I did. I didn't have the form. I had no idea that coaching was even an industry, or that being an author or channeling, I mean, that wasn't even in my consciousness at that point.
Mm.
But I cultivated the feeling of what it would be like to be on purpose, to have my passion. And that was part of my meditation. I would feel my way
Wow.
into, even though I didn't have the form, in less than a month, that's when my first book channeled through me. Got the book published, started speaking on the topics of the book, and people started asking me to coach. And my reaction was like, what do you mean? Like a cheerleading coach? What? Like, what's coaching? Right. And I'm like, people do that? Like, and I'm like, nah, give me a call on the phone. I'll help guide you through this information. And I did. And I loved the process. I would see people like call me back or email me back going, oh my God, I met him, or oh my God, I got the job, or hey, I got a promotion. And I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. I'm helping people create their best lives. How do I go to school for this? Right. So everything I was just leaned into, following that passion, following that energy, following that essence. So anything any of you are feeling that you're pushing up against, you're resisting, ask yourself, what is the opposite of that? What do I want instead? How do I want to feel? What am I feeling that I don't want to feel? And what do I want to feel instead? And even
Mm,
if you
mm,
do
mm.
not know how to feel that right now, the divine in you does know. And if you just surrender to that divine in you, my personality, Christy Whitman, did not know how to feel passion and purpose. I did not know how to feel connected and loved. But
Right.
when you open up and surrender to that higher self that does and can provide you with that now, not when, not
Ooh.
if, not then, now, then you are a vibrational match, and you draw those things to you.
Wow. Mm, snaps.
Love
Snaps
you,
on
brother.
that. Oh my goodness. I mean, and it's funny because and Sheila, we talk about this often, right? Where I have gone through that process and continue to go through that process. I mean, it doesn't end, right? We keep going through the process to master it and master it more and more and more and more until it's not even a thought, right? It's just our beingness. Sheila,
Mhm.
you've gone through this process from being a mental health professional into moving into being a manifestation life coach. Um, I love when you talk about your story as well, because I resonate with that too, right? And that it's simple, but it's complex in terms of just the day to day. Like you have to commit to it. You have to do the task, right? You have to do these things.
You get to.
Mhm.
You get
Yeah.
to.
Right.
You don't have to. You get to.
Yeah.
You get to,
Yeah.
because you're the one that gets to change your life. You're the one that gets to decide what you want in your life. And I like to think of it as, when you're doing this work at first, and I know this was like it was for me, it's almost like you've got this big, huge door and it's like
Mm.
heavy, and, you're trying to open it up and it takes so much effort, right? But as you start to plug in and you change your thoughts and you do the practical things to allow your energy to flow instead of constrict, it's like when you walk up to one of those doors that just automatically open, right?
Yeah.
The
Right.
doors just, zoop, that's what it feels like, because then it becomes your neural pathways in your brain change and it becomes easier. You start to think in abundance ways. There's a whole perspective and mindset of lack versus abundance. And when you shift the lack perspective and mindset into abundance, and that abundance becomes your natural way of being and living, that natural flow just happens, like those doors just opening for you.
Isn't it amazing when and I challenge people to use the processes that Christy's talking about. Because I know I do that, Sheila does it, other people who are with Soulivity do it. And that I challenge you to do it because it's amazing when you start, right? And if you're actually journaling or doing whatever you're doing to make sure that you're paying attention to what outcomes are coming, you'll see that things are literally miraculously changing before your eyes. A person gives you a phone call or an email, or they stop by, or you're out and about and the person says, oh, well, yes, I'm the such and such person who's over that, or whatever it is. But all these miracles start to happen and the doors start opening to your point, and it becomes easier and easier and easier to the point at which you start laughing when it's happening. Like, wow, yeah. Like the beautiful reminders that we are co-creators, and that when we do these things and when we speak them into existence and feel them into existence, it happens. And it happens and it's
Yes.
real. It's really
Yeah.
real. It's beautiful.
Synchronicities, with the universe are so much fun.
Oh man, it's been so much fun with you. I mean, we're almost out of time, but I got to get to some shameless plugs with you because you're doing some amazing work. This kind of work, and I know people can find more information on your website. What should we be paying attention to that's on your website right now? I mean, you got all these beautiful things. You got stuff coming up with the council, which I love. I'm waving at them right now.
They're waving back, Brian. Yeah, so I would say the first place to start is, we have a really beautiful light-filled community, and we have a membership site, and the first level of that is complimentary, and that's where you can get, there you go, the Discover. You can get the first 10 days of Watch Your Words. You get to get into the energy vortex with us. We have different, we've been talking about some of the universal laws. And so I have these videos on what are each of the universal laws, the 7 essential laws, and how to apply them. So you can join the community. by plugging in there and finding out what's available. We always do different things like retreats and online courses and different things like that, like different meditation series. So it's really what you're looking for. But I would say the first place to start, I mean, let's just get really, really basic, is there are certain words and phrases that we say that we have to stop saying if we want to change our lives. Because when
Absolutely.
we are saying words and phrases that pull our energy down, the words create the thoughts create the beliefs, that creates your emotions, that creates the actions that you take. And if all of that is coming from a lower level vibration, the results then that you're going to have in your life are going to reflect what you speak. So as you're
Absolutely.
changing, shifting small words and phrases, you feel better, you feel different. If I could just give one quick example, I just love this example. I was coaching a client
Really
one
quickly.
day. Yeah, really quickly. So I was coaching a client one day and she came to me and she's like, I'm so bummed out. I just got my friend asked me to go on a trip to Hawaii with her. And I'm like, why are you bummed out? And she's like, because I can't afford it. And I said, well, let's change your language. Instead of saying I can't afford it, say it's not a financial priority. And she's like, well, it's not. And I go, yeah, but it's a different word or phrase, but just say that. She's like, okay, I want to go, but it's not a financial priority. She wasn't able to afford it right before. Her friend calls her back and says, hey, I have a ticket, a plane ride ticket that I have to use. I could transfer it to you. So she literally got this like Hawaii trip fully funded. And
There you
all
go.
she did was shift her language.
Boom.
So
Boom.
little
So,
hinges swing big
oh
doors.
man. Well, listen, I know we're almost out of time. Would you come back? Would you please come back?
Of
Please,
course. Of
Yes.
course.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I
Yes.
will
Yes.
do
Yes.
that.
Yes.
I'll get up at 4:30 in the morning for you, Brian, anytime.
I know everybody. She's out in Arizona, and it's a couple hours difference. So we appreciate you. Oh man, so much. Appreciate you too, Sheila. Thank you for being here. You always
And I appreciate both
bring.
of you.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And it's a
Nice to meet you, Sheila.
You
new Consciously
too.
Awesome Living that's going to be streaming today. So with Sheila. So make sure you watch that, everybody, on Soulivity TV. Listen, gotta go. We're almost out of time. Thanks to all of you for being with us today. We hope that you use the information that Christy has shared today because it's very powerful. It absolutely positively works, and you will change your life for the better and live more of a full life. Listen, for everybody here at Soulivity, thank you for joining us for Soulivity today, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
This work is subject to copyright owned by Affinity Global LLC. Any reproduction or republication of all or part of this is expressly prohibited unless Affinity Global LLC has explicitly granted its prior